We're good?
We're live.
We call the meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Please put your right hand over your heart, face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mr. Russi.
Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Councilmember Crosby.
Here.
Councilmember Carter.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Present.
Mayor Hepburn.
Present. It looks like announcements, upcoming events. Mr. May from the library, would you like to come up?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and Laverne residents. I just have one announcement to make. It's good news. On August 10th, the Board of Supervisors made our department a fine-free department. And this became effective September 1st. So if anybody in the city has overdue fines, they're cleared. There are no more charges.
I was worrying about that.
And it's and it's retroactive. So if you have stuff going back a couple of years, those will be taken care of. It's going to take some time to update the database, but those will eventually all be removed also. The fines will still, fees will still be charged for things like lost, damaged items, the meeting room applications, the replacement cards. But for the loss and damage fees, if you're 21 years and younger, you can use our great read-away program and read away those fines. So technically, if you choose, you can pay the fine if you want, but you can also read it. If you read 1 hour, it removes $5 in fees. So we are fine-free starting September 1st. It is retroactive, so if anybody has late material down the road, they will not be charged an overdue fee. That's it.
Is there any truth to the fact that they're going to give a double coupon from In-N-Out if you bring the book back?
I don't know where you're hearing that, but
Sounds good though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Or a taco truck, one of the two.
So whether you return your books on time or late, please come and check one out, right? That's
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so check out more books.
One of the reasons why they implemented policy was that the overdue fees kept people from coming back into the library, especially when people are lower income, immigrants, and so forth. So that's one of the reasons why it was implemented.
So, Mr. Russi, we could probably put that in our, maybe a bulletin in our social media to say, hey, come on, bring your books back, no fines, no nothing, get your books back, and keep checking books out. Very important, if we could do that.
We will be doing that. Thank you.
Great.
It is on the county website too, so if you want some additional information too. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other announcements or upcoming community events anybody would like to speak right now? That would be no. We're going to move to consent calendar. Do we have any items pulled, Mr. Russi?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions on the consent calendar in council? And we would pull anything or discuss anything?
No, and I'll make the motion.
Very good.
I'll make the motion to accept the consent calendar as is.
I'll second.
Second. Mr. Crosby, all vote, please. If I remember how to do this again. Where's my button? There we go. Oh, God, I think I did it right. Oh, I did it right. Wow. We move to public hearings. Mr. Russi.
Yes, Assistant to the City Manager, J.R. Reynolds, will be taking this item, and he'll be doing it from up here rather than juggling back and forth between the two.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The City and the Laverne Firefighters Association met from April through August in an attempt to reach an agreement on a successor memorandum of understanding. The parties were able to reach agreement on 2 items, including salary increases and an additional comp time cash-out consideration. However, the parties were ultimately unable to resolve matters revolving around employee longevity pay, additional overtime considerations associated with the use of sick leave, and specialty pay increases. These items were requested by the association as an approach to address some of the retention and recruitment issues that the department has been facing. On July 13th, the city presented its last best and final offer for a 12-month term with salary increases of 5% for firefighter, 5.5% for fire engineer, and 5.5% for fire captain, equating to approximately $250,000 in salary increases. Aside from the additional comp cash out and salary increases, there are no other changes from the previous memorandum of understanding. City representatives and the Laverne Firefighters Association held an impasse meeting on August 5th to discuss and potentially resolve issues that resulted in impasse between the parties. In the end, however, a compromise was not reached. Under the Myers-Millis-Brown Act, the city's employer-employee relations resolution, when impasse is reached, the process of mediation and/or fact-finding is usually initiated. However, it was determined that mediation was not agreeable to both parties, and the association indicated their preference was to not pursue fact-finding. Instead, the association indicated their preference was to submit directly to the City Council for consideration of imposition of the terms and conditions of employment based on the city's last, best, and final offer. Because the applicable impasse resolution procedures have been fully utilized in good faith, it is necessary for the City Council to consider implementing the attached terms and conditions of employment for Laverne Firefighter Association members. The attached would be effective on September 12th and would remain until new terms and conditions are negotiated and agreed upon. There are 2 articles in the draft terms and conditions requiring minor changes. Under Article 8, Upland should be removed as they are no longer a municipal fire department, and that's under the salary adjustments consideration. Under Article 33, November needs to be added next to December as part of the new compensatory cash out language. So before it was paid out in November, and so it referenced anything earned in December would roll over to the next year. We need to add November in front of that because we're actually paying it out in November. The mayor should open the public hearing to hear from any interested parties. After closing the public hearing, council will discuss or ask any additional questions they might have of staff. Once completed, staff recommends the City Council unilaterally implement the attached terms and conditions of employment for association members as outlined in the city's last, best, and final offer. Right.
Do we have any questions for JR? No questions? Before we go to public hearing, I just want a couple ground rules here. I want to make sure that we stay to the 3-minute time frame, if we could, please, on public comment. The most important thing is to keep our masks on. I know this is really a pain, but we're still in a mask environment. We're still in our CDC guidelines. So if we could please keep your mask on, I'd really appreciate it, to make sure that we, even at the dais, and if you need a little more time because you're having trouble breathing, it's fine. We'll take a little extra time. That's no big issue. Just let me know. But we'll try to stay to the 3-minute time frame. But in other words, let's keep our masks on and keep cordial here. We're all friends. We're all community members. We're all residents of Laverne, as far as our council and our city. So let's treat each other fairly. Let's be nice. Let's keep it above standard here, if we could, please. Now, no questions for staff? We'll open up the public hearing. Do we have anybody on public comment right now for this item?
There was none listed, but I'll ask Bruce. I don't know if you wanted to speak on this item or under public comment with your request.
It doesn't make any difference to me.
Whichever your preference is, sir.
I'll talk now then. I'm going to have a little trouble with the mask because my glasses are fogging up.
I understand.
So,
You take your time. Take your
okay.
time.
So I'm
If
going
you
to
can
have
keep
to
it right
mask
there,
like half staff, okay?
Yes.
All right. First of all, I need to ask rhetorically, who's in charge of the fire department? And who has been in charge the last 6 years? The Laverne Fire Department used to be a great organization. I was in business for many, many years, and as a businessman, accountability is like the #1 thing. The fire department reports to the city manager. It is his chief responsibility, since it is one of the 2 public safety departments, the other being the police department, which reports to the city council. So his primary department that reports to him is the fire department. The problems in the fire department have all occurred during his watch. Retention and recruiting have both been unacceptable during the last 4 years. What has he done to solve the problems? He should have added a second office in the fire station downtown and been close to the situation. You may say this and you may say that, but he needs to immerse himself into the situation.
Mr. Becker, I didn't mean to interrupt. Can you just pull this up a hair,
Okay.
please? Thank you.
It is a no-brainer that the city manager on accountability should get an F. Morale. The morale within the department is at an all-time low. How often has he met with the rank and file and heard their concerns and their grievances? From what I understand, this is also an F. Recruiting, another failing grade. we're losing many firefighters. I have done some research. There's a fire academy going on now at Mount Sac, and there's fire departments, academies in 6 other ones in Southern California. If I was Mr. Rusty, I would be going to those fire academies and asking to interview those in the top third of their class and tell them what a great city Laverne is and try to recruit some firefighters. Maybe you can't get a fireman that's a paramedic, but you should be able to get a fire department firefighter and give him 3 or 5 years in order to get his paramedic certification. Retention. It's time to offer retention bonus to every new firefighter and every current firefighter. We have to keep firefighters. We have to recruit firefighters. If a new firefighter works for 6 years, I would give him a $100,000 bonus. I would leave it up to you for the amount, but I would give the same bonus to any current firefighter because of his tenure and his appreciation for his service. We need to do something to recruit and retain firefighters. I know it's a lot of money, but uncontrolled turnover is more expensive. Most of the city department are pretty well run, so why not have the city manager spend half of his time with the fire department? It's that important. Don't let him assign it to somebody else. Give him goals and a time frame. That his last review addresses the performance in this area. I would certainly hope that it did. I mean, to anybody that looks at the fire department, it's a failing grade.
If you could finish your
You are
comments, Mr.
accountable.
Becker.
You are accountable for the city council to take an objective look at how the fire department got so bad. You are accountable to the citizens to do the hard thing and hold Mr. Rusty's feet to the fire. No pun intended. I ask redundantly, Mr. Davis, does your boss hold you accountable? Mr. Crosby's in education. He has people working for him. Does he hold them accountable? Mr. Hepburn, he doesn't have a boss, but his customers hold him accountable, and he's out of business if he doesn't live up to their satisfaction. So I ask you to look very, very strongly at his performance going forward. Give him some hard and fast goals that last 6 months, 12 months, and make him live up to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Becker.
And for those that are attending via Zoom, if you would like to speak, please use the raise your hand feature.
One more thing, if I could. So, if I could, real quick. Okay. There's nothing in the bylaws that says that the public comments can't be also in writing. So since the city's clerk is now here, then I'll give it to Mr. Reynolds to make sure that he gets it to all the council people. Those are public comments.
Sure. JR, do we have anybody on the phone, or
Nobody has raised their hand.
We'll
Nobody
give-
else has requested to speak on this item.
we'll give it a minute? Just give it a minute. No one, JR?
No, sir.
We're going to close public comment and bring it back up to the dais. Council, any comments or for JR or comments on this issue?
I guess I'll make just one comment, which I want to. I'm grateful that the city and the Firefighters Association have come to an agreement on this, even though we're imposing this on them. I take the fact that they didn't want to go into fact finding as a positive sign in this effort. So I'm looking forward to closing this in a favorable way and moving forward with our firefighters.
Any comments? Mr. Crosby?
I'm just actually happy to get our firemen back to median, because this is what this imposes our agreement, was the raises they're getting back to the median, which was going to help with recruitment and retention of their people as well. We are fighting a tough market out there with other fire departments. Recruiting is very difficult for all firemen right now. Actually, for all positions out there. For any jobs, go down the street, you see a help wanted sign on every window. But for specialty jobs, when people have needing coursework and needed special training like our firefighters do is more difficult to get. But making sure that all of our firefighters are at median is very important.
Councilmember Lau? Councilmember Carter? Very good comments from both council members. This is just one of the instruments of Measure LV, which we all passed, is to give raises to all our employees, and they're really the last group for raises. And quite frankly, they're very good raises. This brings us to median, but it also brings some more pride back to our employees to know that we do care about them. The city cares about them. Measure LV is actually working. Even in a pandemic, it worked really well, which we weren't sure it was going to. And we were very, very pleased because our residents hunkered down. We all shopped Laverne. We all spent our money here. We kept our tax dollars here, and that was a very, very important thing to do for our community. And the fact that we just hired a new fire chief, which we've been working on for some time. It's way overdue. I'm very excited myself personally. I think this is the road we're going to take, and I think that the road's going to be a good road. And I look at nothing but positive things for our fire department. And as tonight with Chief Nig and his comments about Station 3 and pride and relationships with the workers and employees, that's where we're at. And that's really, we've come a long way. It's been a rough road, I'm not going to lie. We've all been through this, but I look at positive things right now, and I think that we're on the right road, and I think that we're going to see some really great things happen soon. So thank you, Mr. Russi. Great interview process. We all had a hand on it, which was really nice to do because it's important that we all see and feel these people that come into our community if they suit the needs of our residents. That's the most important thing. Employees be safe, the residents are safe, and I think we're on the right road, so I'm very happy about that. So with that, any other comments?
No, but I'll make the motion that City Council unilaterally implement the attached terms and conditions of employment for LVFA members as outlined in the city's last, best, and final offer. With minor changes. Thank you for that.
Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? There we go. Thank you very much. We go to other matters. Unexpired Planning Commission vacancy appointment. Mr. Director Scheer, how are you?
Fine, good evening. Hello, Mayor and Council. As you're aware, Phil May had recently resigned from the Planning Commission after serving over 8 years on that. He had 1 year left on his final term on the Planning Commission, expiring at the end of June of 22. As the Council may recall, the last time that you did do a recruitment for a position was when Councilmember Lau was elected to the Council and her seat remained vacant, at which time the Council appointed Thomas Allison to the Planning Commission. But also at that time, this was June of 2020, the Council identified an alternate, Jeremy Conrad, at that time, and kind of discussed basically if there was another opening that would probably be your selection in the next year or so. We're a little bit over a year, but we still did fly and accept new applications for positions, but Mr. Conrad has also expressed continued interest in serving on the Planning Commission. So tonight, the City Council is asked to give staff direction on how you would like to proceed. You basically have three options as staff sees, is that one, you can simply make an appointment from, 7 other residents also applied during this period. None of those residents had previously been interviewed by the Council in your last 2 recruitment processes, so they were basically new to the process. But those applications, including Mr. Conrad's, were forwarded to the City Council for your review approximately a week and a half ago or so. So at this time, from the list of the applicants that are on your report this evening, the Council may appoint directly this evening to fill that vacant seat for the next year or so. You can schedule a special council meeting to go to interviews and interview all 8 candidates to do a selection process as you did previously. Or you could also reopen it if you think that if you have a desire to see more applicants apply for the position. Obviously, having an empty seat on the Planning Commission is not ideal. So if we did do that last one, we'd ask to try to do an expedited process for that. I'm happy to answer any questions, but staff is looking for the Council to give direction and or make a decision this evening. Be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Director Scheer? None? We do have one person to speak, so we should probably go to
And then you did receive another written comment from one of the other candidates as well.
Oh, that's the one here?
Yes.
Wasn't there another one over there?
Here, we'll share.
Okay, that's it. No, no, we're good. I got it.
Oh, okay. Shall we go to, we'll go to the floor. I think we should go to comment. And we're gonna open up comment right now to the floor. If anybody has any comments on this, I know that Danita Beaucamp, you wanted to speak on this item. Please come and,
And if there are those watching through Zoom, please raise your hand. Use the raise hand feature and we'll bring you in.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm seriously concerned regarding the decision process for filling the vacancy of the Planning Commission. I would hope that the council would scrutinize the candidates thoroughly, if not exceedingly more, than the candidates for the Measure LV Oversight Committee. I say this because of how Mr. Ron Ingalls was able to bypass the interview process and was implemented as an alternate committee member. Yes, we all know Mr. Ingalls was first a Laverne police officer and then became the police chief and was also serving on the city council. But that should not automatically qualify someone for a job, especially that of a different nature. Not to mention that because he was a previous city employee, he is collecting a city pension, which I feel is automatically a conflict of interest when he's on a committee that's fiscally overseeing financial data of the city. The fact that he was chosen for the Measure LV Oversight Committee and did not have to interview for that position is an absolute disrespect to the other candidates who did, such as Ms. Simison and Mr. Gabaldon, who both had to be interviewed in a live internet telecast, no less. This type of continued nepotism and favoritism is how doubt and mistrust begins with the public. We citizens cannot trust the commissions and committees set forth by the council if this type of behavior continues. We need to be sure that this person is someone who has verified experience and they will positively contribute to the city's planning for future projects for both businesses and housing, as well as other projects that are scheduled to be constructed within the city limits. I question the backgrounds of others on whether or not they truly are qualified to hold the positions they have been appointed to, especially when they make consequential and ultimately life-changing decisions that affect every resident in this city. Please, for once, do not just acquiesce the staff of the city. Please do the research, think for yourselves, and show the residents of this great city that you can choose someone that can be trusted. We need to build trust with the residents and the city officials. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Beaucamp. Anybody else like to speak on this item? Jared, do we have anybody in the audience?
Nobody has their hand raised via Zoom, but I could check with Loopy real quick.
Please. We'll go ahead and close and come back up to the dais.
Can I clarify something for the sake of the council and clarify a statement? Ron Ingalls
Yes.
was interviewed. He was interviewed the first time through the process. Council elected not to re-interview him the second time because he had a number of votes, at least to just be considered the second time and not require a re-interviewing.
Thank you, Mr. Russi. Real quick here, Mr. Scheer, as Jeremy was only a few weeks out of the 1-year time frame, is that correct, when we interviewed him last time?
And I'll just clarify a little bit. Your discussions were roughly a year. There wasn't a hard limit. And,
No.
And even if it had been 6 months, we still would have put it out to the public to reapply. Right. So your discussions was generally thinking around a year was an appropriate time where you felt comfortable for an appointment in an upcoming unexpected vacancy, correct?
Okay. Because I'm very comfortable with Jeremy Conrad. He's a young member of the community. He's building a house, redoing a historical house on Bonita Avenue. Children in the school district. He knows construction. He's been in construction. The thing is we have a lot of very talented candidates here, and every one of them on their own right can do any of the number of things in the city for our committees. Is it possible that if we do move forward with Jeremy, that we could keep this list active for any other positions that would open up any committees in the community on our city? Mr. Russi?
What we can make it a point to do is we will keep these applications on file. We would contact these individuals if there is another committee spot that becomes vacant or we have a regular term expiration and see if they're interested, absolutely. Have the city clerk have that on file.
It's a testament because the qualifications of every one of these individuals is great, and I think they would do a fantastic job. And as we do build committees, as we've been doing over the last few years, it's important that we have good people to do this. But that's just a suggestion on my part. Council, please, input.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we got all the applications a week and a half ago, and that I know personally went through every single application and read and went through all the qualifications. I am still confident in Mr. Conrad before, and would like to replace the planning commissioner as soon as possible. And I think this process, if we move to forward with Mr. Conrad, it'll get that done, and so we can get someone in that seat. But I want to make sure that people know it's not just it was Mr. Conrad. It was going through all the applications prior to making any decisions as well.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes, and we went through the process of interviewing all the candidates when Wendy stepped down or moved up to city council and her seat became available. And we had public interviews right in here, and so everyone had to give a statement and qualifications of why they were applying. Jeremy was, I believe, all of our alternate choice, and I still stand behind that. Jeremy has the qualifications. He's a devoted community member, and yes, he did lead us in measure, LV, and that was huge because that gave us the extra money for public safety, for other departments, and that was huge. We didn't have anybody else to step up to chair, and he did that. So I applaud him, and I agree with the recommendation.
Councilmember Lau?
I would agree with the recommendations posed. I would also echo Mayor Hepburn's request to make sure that we keep these folks on file, particularly because I was very encouraged by not only the number but the diversity of the population that applied. It's good to see people get engaged and get interested in being a part of the city. So I'd like to find places if we are as we have vacancies. So,
Councilmember Davis. Mayor Pro Tem Davis, excuse me.
Or Muir, whatever. Whoops, sorry.
Hey,
I want folks to know that these decisions are important decisions, and when we had filled the last position in planning, one of the candidates was so remarkable that we did something that we rarely ever do, which is to say we'd like to tag you as an alternate. And that was an extraordinary step. That wasn't something that we typically do. So when we had the position open up because of Phil May's retirement, it was nice to see additional candidates put in. And then I looked at everybody just on paper and said, who would I choose? And it was hard for me to not just move away from Jeremy Conrad. So even if I look at everybody on paper, Jeremy Conrad is still the one that I would want to be on Planning Commission. This isn't an old boys network. This is a city where it's true we are rich with people who want to volunteer to do things, and that's great. I want to encourage you to continue to reach out and volunteer to do things because that helps make our city better. At this time, though, I would be hard-pressed not to give Jeremy Conrad my full support.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I want to personally thank James Carlson, Sean Carlson, Nikki Dinkman, Jose Rivera, Sandra Taylor, Robert Thompson, and Trina Thornwald. You guys, it's wonderful to see people like this with this caliber for our community that want to serve. And believe me, we've all been through the ranks, and it's a pleasure to come up through Planning Commission, other committees, youth sports, and be able to add to our community and help the community push along and keep our values like they are. So thank you to all those. But to that, I would like a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion to elect Jeremy Conrad to the Planning Commission.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Vote. Thank you. Motion carries. We move to Christmas Morning Coordination Committee. Manager, our new director, Yvonne Duran.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Bob.
He didn't even know.
New title, same pay, apparently.
You should have heard the clapping in the room back there. I was like, hey. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'd like to bring forth a proposal to bring forth a new committee here for Christmas morning. So in 1925, a longtime Laverne tradition began. What began as a food distribution to needy families in the city grew to providing fruit, candies, and nuts to all children in Laverne. This 95 tradition has been enjoyed by many. This December would make it 96 years. The city is divided into several routes on Christmas morning. Santa and his crew begin their day as early as 6 a.m. in the morning. What can typically take about 8 hours, we try to complete each route by 2 p.m. Sometimes it's completed a little bit earlier, mobile home parks. Many do not realize, but it takes a lot of work to put this together. Coordination of volunteers in transportation, ordering fruit, nuts, and candies ahead of time, months in advance, scheduling of Santas, which I get to do, and I love it, coordinating candy packaging at the community center, which I will say, when we were able to about 2 years ago, was the fastest candy packaging to date that I know of. Thanks to staff and all the volunteers on that day. Setting up the Laverne Santa Tracker with Romero and IT. It lets the residents know where Santa's at, when he's coming, so it's pretty interactive for the children to see. I would say most children love that. They're like, when's Santa coming? But that's only just a few things that we coordinate prior to the day of the event. Over the last couple of years, the coordination has kind of, has shifted in terms of a multi-department effort. It comprises staff and our volunteers. Due to the event shift, the staff desires to formally put together a Christmas morning coordination committee, similar to the 4th of July committee. The committee would be comprised of 2 council members, as well as staff from each respective department, which includes the Community Services Department, Public Works, Police, Fire, CERT volunteers, as well as RSVPs. By forming this committee, it will help streamline the work that it takes to put this all together. If council concurs with the recommendation, it's anticipated to hold the first meeting at the end of this month. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
I would just like to briefly add to that. Thank you, Yvonne. This has been a very focused in the fire department. I want to thank the fire department for the number of years that they have given this tradition to the community. And it's just simply a matter of what it's grown to, that it is more, I think, beneficial for the community to be a part of it, but also to be a multi-departmental benefit. So in the last couple of years, we've had fire trucks, we've had police units out there, we've even had Public Works as well as our tow company. So we're hoping to diversify this a little bit, where Santa is on any number of vehicles, and it's celebrated by the whole community, by the whole organization.
Very good, thank you. Do we have any comments? Should we go to the floor if any comments on this or any suggestions from our...
We have not received any,
Nothing?
and I don't know if we have anybody who's raised their hand at this point.
Would anybody like to comment on this or have a discussion on this on the floor? Open it up to you guys first. Okay, don't all move at once. Okay, we're going to pull it back up on the dais then. Do we have any?
And I was just going to check if there's anybody participating via Zoom. If you would like to say something, you just need to use the raise hand feature.
We're so official.
Nothing. We'll go ahead and bring it back. We'll close this. We'll bring it back up the dais. Councilmember Carter.
Okay, and this committee has grown over the years to become a community committee, and our businesses even get so involved. Sanders Towing every year gives us vehicles, manpower, and there's other businesses in the community that help and donate towards this, and it's become such a wonderful community involvement. And I just want to throw my name in the hat because Christmas is my thing. I love Christmas.
You're wearing colors tonight.
Yeah, there was reason behind that,
Is this okay?
Well, it's for fire too tonight,
I
you know.
gotcha.
But yes, and I've lived here 42 years, been involved with it, and I would love to represent the council as one member.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with what Councilmember Carter said. Having grown up in Laverne and seeing the magic, I'm happy that we're finding an opportunity to let more people get involved and engaged in the event versus having it feel like more and more of a heavy lift by one department. So I support the formation of the Christmas Morning Coordinating Committee, and I would be thrilled to be a member of it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Davis. Councilmember Lau.
I would just wanted to say that I think this is going to be a really fun event for the community and a really amazing way for folks to engage and get involved. I love having Santa come to my house at 7 in the morning because I am on the route that is a 7 a.m. Start. Yes, I saw you. And so I think this is a really awesome opportunity. And so I would support Robin or Muir, whoever wants, the two council members that want to do it. I will allow you all to figure that out, only because I sit on the 4th of July committee already, and so I want to spread the wealth in terms of who gets to be on the fun stuff. So,
thank you, Councilmember Lau. Councilmember Crosby.
All I know is the last 2 years I got the privilege to be on and do this. 2 years ago, I ran 10 miles that day. I need to start running again for this Christmas coming. And last year, my family had the opportunity to be on as well. And just seeing all the people, we always knew, we thought our street was special because everybody comes out when Santa comes, and everybody, all the community comes together, and we say hello and Merry Christmas and to everyone, and we exchange gifts. Driving down the street, you see that happen every street in Laverne. And just the wonderment is just not my street. It's every single street. And this just brings our community so much together. So having this event is tremendous. Having a committee to help out, because it is a lot of heavy lifting. My first time ever was 2 years ago watching the volunteers in the room, and it was just a mass organized chaos that move a machine of building thousands of goodie bags together within like 2 hours time. And why I want to say all that is because I believe there are community members out there that would benefit from that experience as well. And if we can promote that, try to promote as much as possible so our community members can help out if wanted and be part of this event and have that joy and experience that it brought my family for the last 2 years of being part of it, but also every single year I've ever lived in Laverne. When I didn't live in Laverne, my Christmas morning thing was after we grew up and after college, my dad and I would play golf at Marshall Canyon. And we knew when it was time to wake up. We played right at the crack of dawn, and then you hearing the fire engine going up and down the streets. And you knew you were in Laverne. And that was one of the reasons why we chose to move to a city like this as well, of experiencing that as a kid myself, not being part of it, but being on the sidelines. So I encourage the committee and encourage us trying to promote as much volunteerism as well, so that other people get to experience the joy that I've done as well. By being a member, I'm okay letting other people be members. It's okay. But I want to really push forward for that. I really, truly believe the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Yeah, we missed it once. We were out of the country. So 39 years, probably 38 years of the Christmas Day celebration. Where else in the world would you have the fathers or husbands come out in the ungodliest pair of pajamas you've ever seen in your life? And I always say to them, you love your wife, don't you? You love your wife. They're too tight. They buy in the wrong size. I don't know what that is, but I mean, where else could you go in a town like this and just have such togetherness? Whole families coming out. They're all dressed in the same pajamas that Mom bought online. My wife bought some 2 years ago. They were like bodysuits. So I don't know where she got them, but the kids put them on anyway. But they had to walk like this because if they even moved, they would have torn the pants right out of them. But you know, it's a wonderful thing we do. It's a wonderful tradition, and I think that as we transitioned over the last number of years, as City Manager Rusty had said, and also Ms. Duran, that the fact is that it's transitioning that way anyway. I think the residents, this is really something they really like to do, and we all like to do. So it's a perfect opportunity. I agree. I think it's a wonderful idea. We need to keep these traditions because God knows we all love it. It is the most wonderful thing, and it's a lot of work. But the more people that are involved, and the sooner you arrange it, it smoothly goes on. And there's never not enough volunteers for Santa. There's never not enough volunteers for vehicles, and it's a great day. It's a fun, fun, fun thing. So I am in total support of you, too, if you'd like to do that. That's wonderful. You need help from us. We're always available. But so I'm 100% behind that. If that's what you two want to do, no argument from the crowd here. Okay, so do we need to vote on that? Okay. We'll vote on that. So we make a motion? Mr. Crosby?
Yes, I move that the City of Laverne makes a Christmas morning coordination committee, and that the two city council members that will represent the council will be council member Robin Carter and council Mayor Pro Tem Davis. There you go.
Mayor
You got it.
Davis.
I think you can do that.
And I'll second.
Vote, please. Well, that was easy. That carries. We're going to open up public comments and communications. We have Virginia V. Beltran. If I may remind you to please keep your masks on, and we are adhering to a 3-minute time frame. We do have a closed session tonight, so thank you. Please come up.
And if there are those on Zoom, please go ahead and raise your hand so we can see that there's going to be some people wanting to be brought into the room. Thank you.
Well, it's been a while since I've been in one of these meetings, and I feel right back at home. I'd like to say I'm proud to meet you, Mayor.
Oh, thank you.
I've heard nothing but wonderful things about you. And that's
I've been talking to my wife again. That's enough.
well, no, I haven't met her, but I'm sure
Well, maybe
she's
she won't
just
say
as
that,
sweet.
so.
Well, my family in particular has moved here. My father moved here in 1928 when it was Lordsburg. So we're one of the oldest family residing here in this wonderful city, and all the beautiful things that you're saying. Yes, I was able to enjoy that for most of my life. And I'm here tonight to bring to the attention that there is a need. I was once on the Concerned Citizens of Laverne, which I was the youngest member, which was founded in the late 1970s. Unfortunately, there was a very unhealthy relationship between law enforcement and our minority community. And so we have the need to bridge a better relationship, and so that's why we founded that. And once we got everything brought out and in the open and dealt with, we founded the Laverne Athletic Club Gym, which I was also secretary and treasurer for that for many years. I take a large part in this community because I'm very proud of being a resident here. It's a beautiful city, and I always try to invite other family members to come on board. But anyways, so there was an event that unfortunately was not very favorable. I filed the first line grievance, and I'd like to meet with you in the future to show you the video that I took of that event, because I know without a doubt what it takes to build a better, stronger relationship, to make everything work, because we do have wonderful law enforcement here. I'm very proud that we have wonderful, wonderful employees. I had a brother who is a fallen officer. We lost him in 1998. And it's very important, the role they play, and that they go home safely to their families every night. So I'd like to meet with you in the near future so that we can address this little situation and nip it in the bud, as I call it. Working in CDC for 16 years allowed me a large education, which I would not have been able to have outside of that employment. And I'm definitely looking forward to meeting with you and maybe resolving this before, anything else should come of it. It's a beautiful city. I'm going to continue to live here and raise my children and grandchildren because I just love it. And I'm so glad you're here as our mayor.
Well, thank you.
As well as you council members.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Gabaldon.
Good evening. I'd like to respectfully ask for exactly 1 minute beyond the 3 minutes, if I could.
You are granted.
For a solemn reason.
You're granted.
I actually did not plan on speaking to this, but I'm going to make a quick comment regarding the Planning Commission. That was not set up. Just want you all to know that, even though you all know me. But I think you missed the point. You have not provided the opportunity for those that are applied to go through the process, which is an important part of the process, important part of their process. So I think you should revisit that decision, even though I'm sure the candidate that you've chosen is an excellent one. But you did reveal in both your answers, Councilman Carter and Davis, that there is a reward system, because you plainly said that. Regarding my primary two concerns, of which I have a few things, but I'm going to stick to the point. The Sierra Laverne Golf Course, I have a lot of friends that live up in northern Laverne, and I was driving by there today, and I see this as a huge blemish on the city and the management's ability to foresee this outcome. Outside of the comment provided on the city's website dated August 12th, what is the city really doing in follow-up to the state of the former Sierra Laverne Country Club? Are we waiting for a disaster to happen before we do something about it? Taken from the 1984 specific plan on the city's website, this is an area of extreme fire hazard. That is a quote. I'm not sure if anyone is paying attention to the hillsides, especially in the base of the foothills, where you, Mr. Hepburn, live, but the chaparral on and around the course, as well as the adjacent properties, are completely dead. They are felled tree limbs, dead trees with leaves, large piles of dried out mulch adjacent to homes, and now a course quickly becoming near the equivalent of ground duff cover, making it a tinderbox. I wish the new fire chief was here to hear this. The fire danger is indeed extreme and is putting at risk the homes, the residents, and potentially our firefighters who might be called to action. Please do something about this. Regarding my solemn comment, did this council or city manager know that the White House press secretary this year on August 26th, 2021, notified Americans that from August 26th to the 30th, that the White House, all public grounds, military posts, naval stations, and vessels in the U.S. and its territories should be flown at half-staff in memory of the 13 service members killed in the Kabul bombing. To that I ask, why weren't our flags at half-staff? This I can confirm. So in memory of those fallen brave soldiers, I'd like to read their names. From the Navy, Maxton Soviak, 22 years old, hospital corpsman. From the Marines, Kareem Nakomi, 20 years old. David Lee Espinoza, 20 years old. Riley McCollum, 20 years old. Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, 20 years old. Corporal Hunter Lopez, 22. Corporal Deegan Page, 23. Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover, 31 years old. Johanny Rosario Picardo, 25 years old. Corporal Humberto Sanchez, 22 years old. Sergeant Nicole G., 23 years old. Lance Corporal Dylan Minola, 20 years old, from Rancho Cucamonga. And Ryan Naus, 23 years old. All of these deserved the acknowledgement they should have been given. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gabaldon. Anybody else wish to, Lily?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to have 3 minutes. My name is Lily Brano, so Honorable Mayor and City Council. Actually, I have some concern about district voting since I listened to the hearing of August 30, and then the other coming hearing will be the end of September. So I listened to the the video on YouTube. Actually, it's more than 1 hour comment. That is really a lot of citizens, include me, call in to talk about how we think about the district voting. So for myself, I love Laverne, and then today actually I come to welcome our chief, and I have big concern our city will get like a different pieces. Since I live in Old Town Laverne, so I have a lot of friends is the Asian community. Actually, they bought a big house in the Uptown Laverne. So in the future, it's Uptown Laverne, Midtown Laverne, and Downtown Laverne. So, or maybe left side of Laverne and the right side of Laverne. I feel like very divided. Because I listened to another lady who talked about why we have to do this. Because some people complain.
Lily, can you keep your mask?
Because they complain they under percent. So that's why they has to go to district voting, because otherwise we will get sued. So I just really feel like are they really do their are they come to council meeting every time like I do? Are they go to plan commission to present their opinion? So I think Laverne is a good place to open for us to present our opinion, even school board, anywhere. So I don't think it's a big problem for our community because some people complain. So we have to go to different pieces. So I just feel like our friends and family in a very small, sweet city, and they have to separate and divide to different pieces. It's just really not a good idea. So I hope more citizens will notice about this and then have more comment in coming hearing. I couldn't really brave and Max, okay. So when I believe Max, I donate a lot. I donate tons of Max last year with a Bonita Bay amount. We donate $150,000 PE to the community. But now I couldn't breathe. We still go protest. Max Choice and school district, we don't wear mask there, okay? So, but anyway, I think it's a citizen's right. So I hope everybody really will come here to present them and not complain behind the keyboard. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lily. Anybody else like to speak on public comment? GR.
And just do one last call for any of those that are out on Zoom that would like to raise their hand and be brought in. Anyone have anybody else that's asked via council? Oh, we got one hand. And for those that do have their hand raised, it will prompt you to be brought into the room, so you'll have to agree to be brought into the room.
I can't tell them to keep the mask on, that's for sure.
Physically distancing.
Yes.
Make sure if your microphone's turned off, but it looks like we have Donna Olson. Nope, we can't hear you. Hold on one second, Donna.
Okay.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening. I just was curious about the meeting that's going to take place on the 27th. What kind of provisions are being made to accommodate the number of people that we anticipate will be attending?
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Olson?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
We will answer. Do you have any other questions regarding that?
No.
Okay. I will answer it after public comment.
It's terrible.
I have Thomas Allison.
Good evening. I'm getting this weird feedback, so I don't know if that's me or not. But I just wanted to really take some time and recognize our city staff, starting with you, Mr. Russi, and our city leadership. I was, preparing or comparing notes with a friend over this past week regarding our cities and just the way that different things have been addressed by the city. And I think that our city staff and our leadership has done a really good job of allowing many of us who have maybe not have always felt seen or historically seen or traditionally seen, be seen and heard. I can't think of a single time I've sat down with Mr. Russi and talked about something that was really concerning to me that I wasn't satisfied with the answer or the response. And, I was able to share this with my friend, and I think that speaks volumes for what it is that we have in this city. And I know things move fast, and it's really easy for us to get caught up on the things that divide us. But there's so many things that we have on the table that staff does right and that the city leadership does right that I think could do a little better job of bringing us together. So for what it's worth, I thought that it would be worth it to take this time to recognize the staff, you, Mr. Russi, and our council for being open and for being listeners and for being movers and willing to see that the best that can be done can be done. Of course, we're not going to always agree. There's still work to be done. But I'm grateful that we get to do it in this city together. That's it. Thank you. Have a good evening.
And I don't see, and I don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Well, if you could cut loose that soup can, then we are going to close public comment.
Yes, and if you
And would you
if
please
would
have
allow
a
me,
response to a few of those
I
questions and comments?
Certainly do. And the first one I want to start with was the one from Joe Galbadon, and you are correct. I apologize. Those should have been lowered, and that will be taken care of tomorrow. So if you ever see something like that, please do not hesitate to call our offices. It was an error that was made, and we will make it right. So thank you for pointing that out. Going to the district voting, since we had a couple of comments on that. First thing is, yes, we are making additional provisions. There are a couple things. Obviously, we'll be limited in our room size as we have. We will be making arrangements for the community center to also have a remote viewing as well as opportunity for a camera for people to speak. We will also have a speaker set up outside here so people can follow it if they wish to stay in the immediate area. And if they wish to speak, they can also then, they'll have to wait outside because of room capacity and then come in to speak, but they will be able to stay engaged. We will also have the hybrid option where people can participate just like we're participating tonight. So those are some of the things that we'll be doing to take into consideration. Keeping in mind, this next meeting is nothing more than a one-way sharing of information of what the process is, what districting is, how we got here. The next 2 months will be about the input, about getting the input from the community on different types of maps, 4 and 5. It'll then be, the process will include then the council taking that information and later in October and November to decide what direction. So no decision will be made at that hearing that we're having on the 27th. It's listed as a hearing, but it's technically a town hall meeting. It's an opportunity for people to understand what the process entails so they can be better informed on to how to give their input.
Would you state almost, and I'll just speak loudly, a study session more than, there's no decision will be made. It's just a study session all about information on districting.
That is correct. And essentially that's what we did in December and lightly in July, but because the way the law is, we must, after the resolution of intent, you have to hold 2 of those scheduled hearings, and that's what that is about. Let's see, to answer, Sierra Laverne, thank you. Yes, the fire department is aware of the situation that is occurring out there. Anything that is considered a fire hazard by the fire marshal and county ag is addressed. Matter of fact, I think there is some work that is going on this week that all is and it's all done by either the property owner or the property management group that they've assigned to that. I know that the aesthetics is not what we would like to see, but from a hazard standpoint, those issues are addressed and are monitored by our staff regularly. You mean about the ponds themselves? Yeah. Yeah, we had an incident that was reported to us, an issue that was reported to us about a month or so ago regarding a stench that was coming from one of the ponds. We then engaged AQMD, the Humane Society, mosquito abatement. We have a number of resources that we access on an immediate basis to go out and determine if there were any violations there. If we get any reports of violations, and they were all responsive, AQMD has agreed to continue to take complaints, and if it gets to a certain level, I don't know what that is offhand, they will make contact with the owner because they have reached a certain threshold. Humane Society has cited them. We have also cited them under the Health and Safety Code regarding that one pond. So we continue to monitor the issues and things that are occurring up there on a regular basis.
On the website there is an opportunity for immediate reporting, so you don't have to wait for our council meeting. So that way staff can alert the appropriate agencies.
And we encourage people to use that because we are tracking those so we can gather the information in the event we do need it on a going forward basis. We've been very fortunate that this owner has been responsive to the requests that have come in. It could be more of a struggle if it wasn't. But at this point, that hasn't happened. But we are continuing to record all the incidents that are up there, so we have that information available.
Thank you, Mr. Russi. We are going to close public comment now. I think we already did, but we're going to close it again. There you go. Double close. We're going to go to council comments and meeting reports. That's
She did
the district voting. Yeah. No, that's okay. No, you're always welcome to ask. Council comments, who would like to start tonight? Mr. Crosby.
I think, thank you all for coming out, and thank you for the huge crowd at 6 o'clock. And today's a good day for Laverne. Pinning, our new fire chief, Chief Nig. I loved his comments. What I would request is actually if we can have that copy of that, because in his comments, he put a lot of things on notice of what he wants to do and put us as council to help and support him and the fire association as well. And I believe those should be bulletin pinning and us checking off and making sure we're following what he put out there as well. So I really appreciate that. This weekend, Smudge Pot, Bonita versus San Dimas. And I know they're having their rally Friday and the game on Saturday. So go Bonita, and thanks for everything you do. And hopefully we are going to be honoring next meeting our softball players. Awesome. So it's just like last time, like this morning, this afternoon at 6 o'clock, we had the fire chief and the firemen and their stuff will have the softball and their families. If people want to come see, we're going to have capacity for them inside. People can see that outside, or if there's capacity, we'll let other people in. But it's going to be primarily for their families at the 6 o'clock for our great Laverne Little League softball players.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Carter.
And I also would like to welcome Chief Nig. because he is going to provide so much leadership with us, and I look forward to also working with him, the council, the public, and the department. He's really energetic and ready to go. So we look forward to that. This Saturday also, we have our car show. It's coming back now downtown, and that's going to be exciting. You know, we haven't been able to have events like that in a long time since COVID started, so we're going to be having that this Saturday. I believe it's 9 a.m. until 3. Is that what it is?
10
a.m. till 3 p.m. 4 p.m. Okay, I'll say it again. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And also what's nice is in the university parking lot, which I found exciting, they're going to have 200 Mustangs brought in. So it'll be a beautiful display. So these events, though, I want you to know, cannot happen without also our police department and our senior volunteer program. The RSVP, which is our retired senior volunteer program, had their annual luncheon this past Thursday, and I went and represented our council, and they loved your comments, and I read some of those, and then others did. So these retired citizens in our community give so many hours to help the police department. They can't do it on their own. You know, it takes so much manpower. 4th of July parade, they're out there patrolling the streets, helping out, guiding, and you'll see them in the white cars driving around. So I just want to say publicly, thank you. Thank you for your time and your energy that you give to our community.
Thank you, Councilmember Carter. Councilmember Lau. Yes.
Public comments are closed already, but I just would like to say, since we failed to honor the 13 fallen soldiers, can we please put the flag at half-staff for Saturday, which is the 20th anniversary of 9/11?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
So I wanted to take a moment to share with the community some information that you may not be aware of. If you have not visited Hillcrest lately, and I know because of pandemic rules and everything else, you've got to be careful and you've got to do all that fun stuff, but if you've not been there, it is truly an amazing place. They put together an art gallery up on the second floor of their meeting hall that is art and crafts that the senior residents have created during the pandemic. And there are some truly beautiful things that they've done there, and some of those pieces are actually for sale. And so it's really a nice opportunity to see what some of our senior residents, how talented they are. I mean, there's jewelry, there's woodworking, there's paintings, there's watercolors, there's all of these things. So I had the opportunity to visit because I was invited over there a week and a half ago, give or take. The other thing that I was really amazed to see was something that their DE&I committee task force has put together. So it's their diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. And one of the things that they've decided to do to encourage a sense of belonging amongst the residents and within the community is to really honor different segments and different groups during the year. So they are just closing out this quarter with their LGBTQ plus honoring. So they, in their welcome room, they have resources, they have books, and what I thought was really lovely was they had photographs and pictures of residents who are either members of the LGBTQ plus community or who have family and friends who are part of that community. So it was really touching to see that, and I think it really helped to open some dialogue amongst the residents who may have not been familiar with that demographic or didn't know anything about it. So I thought that was really nice that they're doing, that they did that. For the next quarter, they're doing a whole segment on Judaism. And so for each quarter, they're picking a different group or a different demographic to highlight and share about their history and everything else. And so they do welcome members of the public safely if you would like to go visit, but I thought it was a really lovely thing that they were doing. ULV had their home opener. Finally, football is back safely. But, you know, it's back. So we had our home opener against Whittier at home, and we crushed them 42-0. So go Leos. I was very excited to hear that. If anyone follows some amazing D3 football, they'll be playing at Chapman this Saturday. So just wanted to share some of those awesome things and just reiterate what an awesome community we live in. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lau. Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to join the rest of the council and our community in welcoming our new fire chief, Christopher Nigg. I'm looking forward to what he brings to our community and helps to leverage the strong foundation of our community. I'm also looking forward to the car show this Saturday, again from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's been a little while since I've been able to look at Mustangs that don't bite, so that's a good thing. Although apparently, if you get behind the wheel, they'll throw some asphalt behind you. Smudge Pot again is a big deal. Saturday night at the Covina District Fields, just because it's such a big event that they decided to have it off campus again. And then tomorrow, I'm chairing the Pomona Valley Transportation Authority meeting, so anybody's welcome to join us on Zoom.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Davis. Mr. Paz, I want to apologize. I was not able to make the barbecue. Unfortunately, I have a thing called work besides council that unfortunately was in San Diego, but I just want you to know on behalf of myself, and I know council and the whole city, we cannot do without the RSVPs at all. And I know that it's both your right and left arm. They fill the gap on everything they do. With all of the functions they do, we cannot live without them. And I want you to relay that to them, please. On behalf of me, I do apologize. During the pandemic, it was such a terrible time because they were all basically, everybody was shut down and they couldn't help. And then until recently, we're able to get out and to be able to do the functions again. And I know it helps you guys tremendously, and it just gives those extra people, those extra eyes and ears on the streets, and it helps us out tremendously. So please let them know. Please. Again, our hearts and prayers go out to the fallen soldiers in this horrific Afghani thing that's been going on, and we have to be mindful that these things do happen, but still it's a horrific event, and we must say our prayers and hearts and prayers of those families that lost those young people. It's just so we will do our half staff, and we'll keep that flying. Thank you, Mr. Gavaldon. We do appreciate that. It was a faux pas on our part, and we'll make sure we watch that more closely. And the car show that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning and it ends at 6 p.m. at night. Yeah, for a whole week. There's a lot of special events that day. I know that the Laverne Brewing Company is having a special. I think it's $45. They have a barbecue. They have tastings down there. But look through our community. Look through our community. See what's going on. We've got the car show. Stay in Laverne. Keep your money in Laverne. Spend your money in Laverne. It's a great place to be. Hopefully it's not too hot. I think it's going to be too bad, but it's going to be it's just so nice to be able to be out there in the open with all these beautiful cars, people with their wares. They're going to have concessions. So please come out and keep your money in Laverne, please. We like that. One of the things that happened over the last few weeks was Senate Bill 9, which was the lot split, and it passed. Basically, what that means is that people can do a lot split on a regular lot, a 4 split. They can put 4 dwellings on it. So, and there's another one coming right behind SB 10 that's they're looking at. So we must, as residents, your higher elected officials, to really say, hey guys, you can destroy the fabric of our communities. You put too many homes on a lot, it destroys not only infrastructure, but it destroys just the whole idea behind traffic and parking, the whole 9 yards. So I would read up on it, send letters to your electeds. It did pass through, and we had fought with the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, which I'm on there. I'm a first vice president. We fought tooth and nail. We sent letters. We had people that were working with the electeds, and it just, at the last minute, it went sideways. So pay attention to those local assembly bills, those state bills. Pay attention, because just like AB 109 and Prop 57 and 47, yeah, there's secret little things, and you don't realize in the fine details what they actually take away from us. And we don't want to have any more rights taken away, and we don't have our neighborhoods destroyed. So as residents, you must pay close attention, very close attention. Thank you.
Tim, before you go to the closing, after you give the memory, would you also have a moment of silence for the 13
Yes,
members?
Definitely. Okay. We'll do that after we do our remembrance.
Yes.
Mr. Russi, we have a need for a closed session.
We do. It's to review a hearing officer's proposed decision on a disciplinary matter. It's under Government Code Section 54957, subsection B. After the closed session, there will be a report out of the decision of the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Russi. We will be adjourning tonight in memory of, I have to put my glasses on. Okay, there we go. We're closing in German in memory of Salvatore Chick J. Campo, a longtime Laverne resident. Chick was born in New York in 1948 and moved to California in his early years. He was in the Air Force, and he was schooled in electronics. He was a field engineer and training specialist for Rockwell International for 30 years. During his career at Rockwell International, he worked on numerous projects such as the Space Shuttle, Lunar Excursion, Module Secret Projects, Destroyer Submarine Hunters, Special Electronics for Submarines, Global Positioning, Satellite System Navigation Systems for Fast Attack, Trident Submarines, and Avionics Systems for B-1 Bomber, RASC Vigilante F-111 Apache helicopters. Chick was very active in the community. He was an RSVP from 1996 to 2019. That is amazing. Volunteering many, many hours. He served on the Pomona Valley Community Services Committee. He was a founder and past president of the Laverne Computer Club. He taught computers in Laverne and San Dimas. He was a longtime member of the Laverne Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. He participated and assisted the University of Laverne in the video productions of several senior programs. He called bingo for the cities of Laverne and San Dimas. He was a reverend at Faith Walk Christian Church in Ontario. Chick was an awesome friend, family man, and loved helping people. He will be sorely missed by those who knew and loved him. And adjournment to Monday, September 20th, 2021 at 6 o'clock p.m. for recognition of the presentation of the Laverne Little League softball team. And we will now have a moment of silence for the fallen of the Afghani. If we could please bow our heads. May they all rest in peace. We are adjourned. We are recessed. We are recessed at 7:48 p.m. to close session. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Mayor, we are officially back.
We reconvene the meeting at 8:15 p.m. Mr. Kress, would you like to fill us in on what we just had in closed session?
Yes, the City Council met in closed session for the purpose stated on the agenda to consider the advisory decision of a hearing officer in a disciplinary matter. That advisory opinion was reviewed and discussed by the City Council, and Mr. Mayor, I understand that the Council is now prepared to render its decision by adoption of Resolution 2167.
Yes, I'm asking for a motion. Mr. Davis?
I will make the motion, Mr. Mayor, that council support resolution number 2167 and approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne rendering a final decision regarding an appeal of discipline.
And I'll second it.
Vote, please. Thank you all.
Now, Mr. Mayor, it's back to the adjournment to 6 p.m. on the 20th for the girls softball ceremony, and
Yes,
the
sir.
regular meeting to follow after that.
We will adjourn to our next Monday, September 20th at 2021 at 6 o'clock p.m. for the recognition presentation of the Laverne Little League softball team. Thank you all. We adjourn at 8:17 p.m. Thank you all.